So, hello and welcome to this week's Scribble Club. So, for our prompt this week, we're going to be doing blob drawing, which this is kind of like a previous example. A general idea is it's filling a page with blobs, and then we're going to be just making whatever faces or pictures or ideas we can make out of them. It's a fun, quick way to generate a bunch of ideas and not think about the shapes, and sometimes it can push you to do some funky little face shapes and stuff. So what you will be needing is ideally a sketchbook or piece of paper, piece of card, anything that you can draw on. And then you'll also need some either pens, paints can work, watercolours, colour pencils probably not so good. I would go with more pens. Anything you can kind of lay down big blobs with and that you can draw over the top on. So crayons won't work quite as well, or pencils, because you won't be able to draw as easily on top, but Crayola pens, felt tips, watercolours and acrylic paints will work pretty well. You can even get bits of paper and cut them out into a bunch of different little bits of circles and stick them on if that's what you've got going. Coloured paper or maybe bits out of a magazine, but yeah, anything that you can make little blobs with. So let's get started. So these are the colour Crayolas I have chosen. Ideally you want to pick slightly lighter colours, as you don't want them to be so dark that you can't draw on top of them. So for example, this kind of colour would not be a good one, or maybe a dark green. And if you're going for acrylics, you probably want to go for more pastels. Watercolours should be fine with most of them if you're watering them down quite a bit. So let's get started on drawing our little blobs. So you're basically going to want to fill the entire page with various blobs. Don't worry too much about the shape. You can do circles, you can do triangles, squares, stars. I tend to go for more like puddle, splodgy kind of shapes. And you just kind of want to dot them everywhere. Do some big, do some small. Don't think about it too much. Just go for it. If you're using pen, you can kind of do like the zigzaggy kind of back and forth technique to make it not too, make sure you're not going over yourself too much. And yeah, another way to do it could be to maybe trace around like bottle caps or different items you have in the house. As I said, if you're cutting out paper, you can just cut out a bunch of random shapes and stick them on in different coloured paper if you wanted. This is also a really fun activity to do digitally, so you could just fill a page with a bunch of digital splodges. A few years ago, Fairy Little Peach did a sheet where she'd put a bunch of little blobs on that you could draw over and do this kind of activity. And that's one of the first places I heard about this, or kind of saw people doing it. So I think Charlie Clements also did a sheet of blobs that you could then draw over and add your own things. So you could find some pre-made lookups like shapes, or maybe Pinterest or Google, or on Instagram, or as we're doing here, make your own sheet. You could even draw them digitally and then print out the sheet and draw on top of the sheet in that way if you'd like, if that makes it easier. Or if you don't have pens that are colourful, or you don't have those kind of resources but you do have a printer. And there we go, we have filled our page with lots of colourful little blobs. So now we're going to get started with drawing on our faces and drawings. So for today we're going to be making blob faces, but you can also do this with making them into different shapes. Like, it's kind of like when you look at clouds and you make shapes out of clouds. So you can maybe turn it into plants or houses, items around you. Just look at them and make them into any kind of thing. But today we're going to be, I think, primarily turning these all into little faces, okay? So you're going to grab yourself a pen. I would recommend a normal biro, as it'll definitely go over the top of the rest of the shapes, and you want something that can go over the top and that will be quite easy to see. And yeah, you're just going to, so we're going to start from up here and we're just going to start filling in our little shapes into faces. So this one is quite a ordinary one, so we can start by adding a little nose. Some eyes, and you don't need to worry about making these look good. The idea is to kind of push you in your comfort zone and kind of just give you some starting point to start working from. So we could kind of make this like this. There we go. And then with this next one, we can kind of go, or maybe this is a lady on the side. But yeah, you're kind of going to want to just work over all of the little dots and make little faces using the area of the area of the blob to kind of guide you and give you a little prompt, and you're going to just fill it out like that. I find this can be very good, as I've said, when you don't know what to do, you can fill any sketchbook page with a single colour, maybe, if that's all you've got on you, and just kind of use it when you have no idea what to draw to kind of fill in the page and get you started on making ideas. As always with Scribble Club, the idea is to just have fun and make art without thinking too much. We're not trying to make things that look finished and perfect. We are just trying to enjoy this, to have a go and try new things. So you can get a little bit silly. I think always the best way with art is to try and make yourself laugh. A good piece of art can be one that entertains you and that you had fun making. So this little funny little baby thing here I think we've got. Give it some little eyebrows. And yeah, you can get a little bit more sketchy, make it a little bit more serious if you like. If you don't want to go quite so cartoony, you could do these and try and make them look very more realism. Add in some face lines and use it as a kind of face shape like that. Add in some shading and make the faces funny, or you can just go in for the completely funny. Weird little faces like this. You can put big ears and make a little cucumber man. It's up to you. Fill the page however you feel like doing in the moment. So I'm going to fill the rest of these out and then I will show you how it turns out at the end. And here we are with our finished spread. So as you can see, I just kind of gone with all kinds of things. You can really use them to make the hair, funny faces, try and, so a lot of the time I find that you see a bump on the side and you want to make it a funny nose, but sometimes you can try and make it something else, push it into a different shape. I think as you keep going, it's trying to find new things to do and pushing yourself a little bit to try out different ways of filling in the shapes. But yeah, this can be a really fun activity to do if you're stuck, if you don't know what to do, if you want to just fill a page quickly. If you're waiting on your board, you can do it with some friends, all draw on the page and then you all draw on different ones at the same time, and could be a good way of entertaining each other. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's Scribble Club. Let me know in the comments any other activities you'd like to do together, whether you like this sort of format, whether you'd like to do longer ones where we all join together, and just how generally you're doing. It's been lovely drawing with you. I'll see you soon. Bye.